Hello, Vineyard.
Hello, Vineyard, and hello, Barry Travis. So nice to have you with us
Hello.
on the podcast this evening. Barry's joining us from a long way away. He's actually he's actually about 100 yards from my house right now, staying down here for the week, and we're happy to we're happy to have him. We could have had him podcast while he was up in West Palm, but he's here, and we thought it'd be a great time to have him on. So we're excited to have you with us. Very cool.
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good. Good. And so this is our podcast for the week. We're happy to be here. It's June 17th, and hello, Vineyard, and we're gonna spend some time chatting with Barry. I've known Barry Travis for a long time, and Barry started coming to the church years and years ago, and then he felt a calling into ministry, and he was one of our early students in the Vineyard Leadership Institute. He and Georgina were actually the first two students that went through there. You met Pastor Georgina here on the podcast if you didn't know her a while ago. So we're looking forward to some stories about that whole process and them working through. That was a lot of work back then. Barry is married to Renee, who's was on the worship team this past Sunday. She's a joy to have on there, and their son is Austin, and he's down here right now having fun. He's been playing with some of my grandkids, and they were swimming today, as a matter of fact. And so Barry and Renee, for those of you that don't know, they lived here for quite some time. They moved away. We were talking. They moved about 7 years ago now, which is
What? It's been 7 years.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wow.
Hard to imagine, and Barry was one of the pastors here before they left, and Renee was a big part of the worship team, but they moved up to West Palm. They still come down and visit and still feel part of the church, and we love to have them come and visit, and they're down here, and whenever they show up, we put them right to work doing whatever we got going on, and so always a blessing to have them. So that's a big intro. So let's go back in time, Barry Travis, and why don't you tell us how you first found Keys Vineyard? How did you end up at the church?
I went to, when I first moved here in 2003, I went to just church hunting because I've always, since probably 1989, I started going to church and pretty much was there from every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night service, wherever I lived. And I moved to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina first, and stayed there a short time, and then down to the Keys. And when I moved here, I started looking for a church, and I was just going places where I saw on the side of the road or wherever. I went to one church. I think I moved in October of 2003, and I went to one church 2 Sundays in a row, and nobody ever said anything to me other than the pastor came by and shook my hand, and I was like, well, nobody even noticed me. So I was still shopping, and I was had a rain out day at work. So I went to the coffee shop for lunch or a late breakfast or lunch. And there was a girl behind the counter working there, and she was singing a worship song that I was familiar with, a Hillsong worship song. And I was like, well, where you go to church? And she handed me the brochure from the Vineyard. She said, I go right here. It's right here. She's like, it was a Wednesday. So she's like, if you want to go, meet me there. Then meet me. I'll meet you out in the parking lot at 6:30 or whatever time it was. And that was Dawn Silver. And she probably brought a ton of people to the church that way as well. And I came in there, and she introduced me to Pastor Steve, and Steve was nice to me, of course, but I remember most of the second time I came there. Steve knew my name. Now that I've been working with Steve for some time, he probably asked somebody else my name again. But he went through he remembered my name, or he went and asked somebody my name again to have it on his mind or whatever. He went and he did. He put forth the effort to know my name. And when that happened, and I actually really liked the service and how it all went, and how it was laid back, and I just was gonna and Shaban says he remembers me from I was the first person he met when he came there because I was at the door. I didn't have any other thing I could do at the church because nobody knew me, so I just stood at the door and I shook everybody's hand to come in. It wasn't like it was a big leadership role or something. I just wanted to meet everybody I could and just try to fit in some. And I'll tell you when I knew it was my church. One of the old fishermen there was Kurt. And I came in as a Wednesday evening and sat down and worship was starting or preaching was it must have been because I was sitting down preaching was just starting. And I looked over and Kurt was sitting a few people down from me and he didn't have any shoes on. And I looked around, there was no shoes to be found. It was and he's a fisherman. He didn't have those white fishing boots. We call them Stock Island penny loafers. And he'd been wearing them all day, so his feet was hurting. He didn't even wear shoes to church. I said, "This is my place. This is it. I'm here."
That's funny.
So that's how I found the church. Been blessed by it ever since.
So 2003. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So when did you start going to VLI? That was back then. That's how we used to do our leadership training.
I wasn't there very long, Fortunately, I did a little bit of everything around there that was just volunteering, whether it was helping clean up on Saturday mornings, and I didn't have to scrub too many toilets. There were people that actually volunteered for that. But I did do that, and I kind of helped with John Barber was doing the youth, and just asked him could I just come and help because I helped out at the other churches that I've been to with the youth. So I wasn't there maybe a year. You think? Maybe I was there a year, and he came up to me and asked me if I was interested in going to the institute, and that way he told me that was the only way that I could get into leadership, which I'd never thought about teaching at all. I thought about it and told Steve I'd pray about it, and I did. I prayed about it, and I felt the Lord wanted me to do it, and it kept me accountable. I think to study it was one of my main reasons that I wanted to do it was the accountability to learn and study and know what I could about the Bible. And you just kept coming to me with that. How about a year later, you came to me and asked me if I wanted to lead the youth, and I was, again, let me pray about it. And I prayed about, and I knew already. I just wanted to pray about it. Already knew the answer was yes. And then with the adults the same way. I mean, he came to me and asked me if I wanted after I'd been in VLI for a year and a half. But VLI was, man, it was hard. And at the time I was living on a sailboat with no air conditioning, studying. Yeah, it was hard.
That's tough. So hang on, I want to hear that. What's going on with that noise? Is that us doing that, Douglas?
That's probably someone texting Renee.
That's funny.
I was like, what's going on?
I couldn't stop it.
And is our Facebook feed okay? Mine seems to be dragging really bad. Is yours working all right?
It might be chugging a little bit. But Kimberly did say on the Vineyard app it is working clean. So
okay. All right. Well, if you're having trouble. Yeah. All right. So that's right. I forgot. So you worked with the youth at the Vineyard for a while, and then you also were very involved with a long time ago. I did a thing down in Key West. Remember, we did a little satellite time in Key West, and you were down there for a long time, weren't you?
Loved it. Yeah, yeah. Man, that was fun and hard. Oh man, setting that up and tearing it down, and the food and the what would I say? The amount of people coming there fighting in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was quite
Oh
the
man,
ministry.
yeah, it was. It was a fun time though. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but we did, and Fran actually, me and Fran actually, after a little while, he came in and we did every other week. Fran would be a week there, and I'd be a week there. But it was fun. You know what I was thinking about today was when me and Georgina were in VLI together. You had us come into your office and give us a 5 minute sermon, and I could not figure how I was going to talk for 5 minutes. I was nervous as could be, and I was like, how am I going to get 5 minutes out? And a year later, he had me teaching in front of the adults, and he couldn't get me to not do a 40-minute message.
Think,
I'm sure he let me do these because you got time limits. And on Saturday nights, you tell me 20 to 25 minutes, I go 45.
yeah, it's funny. Things
Couldn't
change.
figure out how to do everything I wanted to say in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember the first time I had you and Georgina preach to me. It's funny to watch where you guys are now from where you were. But it isn't. It's a big deal to get that stuff going and to start trying to figure out what that looks like and how you talk and how it sort of
Yeah.
flows and then
Oh,
doing it in front of somebody is a little nerve wracking too. So that's
oh,
it's funny to think about. I was thinking, there was a time I just had this memory where we were a bunch of folks from the worship teams and everything. We were all out at a dinner, and we were doing some fun things at the dinner. I think my wife had come up with, and one of them was to try and sell something like you were on QVC. And I
yeah.
don't even know if you remember that, but you and Fran were really good at that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was a Christmas party. It was the
Yeah.
Christmas party for the leaders. Yeah. And I'm not even sure were we even leaders at the time? Or were we just volunteering, filling in? I'm not sure.
I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I do remember both you guys were really good. I'm like, hey, they're really good at that. So, sort of the
Well, I
ability
was
to
a
speak.
senior, so
Yeah.
I,
All right.
I do
God.
remember the time that you had me teach in front of the adults. My hands, I had my notes, and my hands were physically shaking that paper. I couldn't hold it and teach. I had to put it down because the people in the front row could definitely see that paper shaking. I was so
Yeah.
nervous. In front of the youth, it didn't matter. They were just kids.
Right. Yeah. That's good. So, and so in case I forgot anything, so tell me. So, in the years that you were there while you were with us, so besides the youth, Key West, what else did we have you doing?
Oh, well, me and Georgina did a lot of outreaches together during the VLI period. Uh, which was always giving something away, and doing reports and whatever on it. And that's pretty much. I think I hadn't thought about Key West in so long. Uh, I don't know how you remembered it, but it was
Yeah.
good
Well,
times.
it was a lot of interesting thing going on. Lots of stuff going on. So okay. So tell us now. So you met Renee down here, and I'm going to give just a quick history because Alice and I've known Renee for a long time, and she was down here with a friend of ours, and they were visiting, and Barry was here, and you guys got introduced. So what happened? How did that all happen?
So she was singing at Sarah's wedding, is what it was, and the rehearsal dinner. The rehearsal was the night before on a Friday night, and I saw her. Of course, I was around doing whatever, but I asked Steve who she was. I said, who is she? And he told me that he knew her, and he said, I said, is she married? No. I said, how old is she? And he told me. I said, what's wrong with her? Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it's
Yeah.
true. Steve said she's an enigma like Georgina. I was like, okay. And he said, if you like her, I can make it happen. I said, no, I can take care of myself. I'm older enough. So the next night goes around, and I was going to ask her to go out somewhere. And when everything's over, with the wedding's all over with, and everything's done, Alice came up to me and asked me, you want me to ask her for you? And I was like, no. I was probably 37 at the time, 38, 39. It's like, I think I can do this. Anyhow, I didn't know it at the time. She was already forced to go out with me. She didn't want to go out with me because I lived in the Keys, and she didn't want to move to the Keys, so she didn't want to date anyone from the Keys. But Jody had told her she was basically, I was waiting at the only door to go out to ask her. All the other doors were locked, and I asked her, and she said yes. So we got in the Jeep, and the seatbelt didn't work on the passenger side of the Jeep. None of the doors were on.
I remember your old Wrangler. I think it was awesome.
Right,
It had a killer
right,
sound system in it, though.
He was making a good first impression.
right. She was scared to death anyhow. And then she had tracks in her hair for the wedding. She had put in track hair. So she's riding down the road holding her hair. I had no idea she had tracks. Trying to keep these extensions from coming out. And we go to Boondock and have coffee and go for whatever. And anyhow, I drove back and forth to Palm Beach for, we were married 11 months later. We dated for 11 months. So, but I drove back and forth about every 2 weeks, and she drove a few times down here. And like I said, 11 months later, we were married. And then she laughed when I told her that Pastor Steve said he could make that happen. She actually laughed about that. I didn't tell her that until I could that.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. What's wrong with her, Georgina? Well, that's good. Well, whenever Pastor Barry comes down now, and I think when you were leaving, you were doing communion and stuff and celebrating communion, because I always have you do it when you come back. So that always feels like old times, kind of the sort of Southern accent. I told a joke a while ago, and I don't know if you saw it when you were online, because I thought you'd comment, and I never heard back from you. But
now he's guilting you about not hearing his bad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with it?
Tell me if you heard this one. That there's a new parish now in Louisiana. It's called Bayou Self. Did you hear that?
No, that's one of the COVID jokes.
Yeah, Bayou Self. And I told it, and I was sure I was going to hear from you about it, and you never. So you mustn't have listened to that one.
Yeah, it must have been a week I missed.
That's funny.
Like,
well, you can.
What were we talking about? The pastor getting a haircut where we go to church now.
Yeah.
When they do that.
It's funny. Bayou Self. You can use that if you want.
Oh, I will.
Well, that's good. And then, we had the pleasure of having you and Renee here for quite a few years. And then, like I said, 7 years ago, you guys moved up to West Palm, and we get you coming back. And we always love having you coming back. So that's good. But it's funny now because we were talking earlier, Barry and I, we were and Alice and Renee and Austin, we were all out for lunch, and we were talking, because I can't believe it's been 7 years. Because a lot of people have moved from here, and they come back and visit, and things change here so fast. in this area. You know, people move in and people move away, and uh, so we were talking about people that have have been gone for a while now, and it's amazing to me over the years that I've been here how many thousands of people really we've interacted with, and what a blessing that is, because of the so much coming and going, and so there's people that know us now all over the that are living all over the place, but still sign in and check in every now and again, and that's kind of fun. So
Yeah, and the
we were talking.
overwhelming thing, what I say is, like my friends John and Shelley in Texas, and just some more people that I've known that have moved away, John Barber and them. We all, and us as well, we've all, there's no replacement for the Vineyard, the Vineyard and the Keys Vineyard Community Church. We just can't find a place where, especially that I fit in as well as I fit in this church. It's an awesome place to be, and the people are all. I always tell people about when I tell them about Big Pine. I'm like, it's like Andy Griffith, except there's a lot more Otises around. You know, but it's a small town where you know everybody, and you walk in the vineyard, and everybody they're just so nice and real, and nobody seems to be putting on false pretensions. As, I remember some of the people that in the vineyard were doctors and lawyers, and you'd have no idea that they had all the money that they had, because they treated everybody just like they're equals, and I
Right.
really, really love that. And that's the way the vineyard's been ever since I've been there.
Yeah, it's a fun place. God has certainly put a lot of neat people here, and we're blessed by that. So, Pastor Georgina asked a question there a minute ago.
Here, I'll put
What
it
was your
back up.
favorite? What was your favorite ministry while you lived here?
Oh man. Oh, I love the outreaches that we do. I tell people all the time, I actually, whenever every year when we come down we come down for Easter every year. We didn't get to this Easter because of the COVID, but the giveaways we do out in public, and the car washes we were doing by hands back then. But
I remember those by hand car
you know,
washes. Oh, they were so hard.
right, they were completely different than what y'all had by the end. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, you washed 60 cars by hand. You knew you'd wash 60 cars by hand. You had plenty of help, but giving away waters at the Winn Dixie, and just and food and whatever. But every time we come here, Austin's big thing is going on the ice cream truck. He wants to go on that ice cream truck every time we come, and that is one of my favorite things, because I don't think there's a better outreach out there than giving people's kids ice cream, because the adults see it. I mean, how better way outreach an adult than treating their kid special? You know,
right,
if you if you want to show me love, treat my son special, and I'm in.
right. Yeah, no, those things. The outreaches are fun things, and that's that ice cream truck's been a neat experience. So it's fun to get that out there
Everybody,
doing stuff. Here, see, Pastor Georgina asked another question. So, what was your favorite subject when you were studying VLI?
it wasn't healing, Georgina. She loved it. She loved the lady that taught that one, and I couldn't stand it. We had these during the VLI. You would have two or three classes, or two classes that would be you'd meet two or three times a week and do it, and then you would have these intensives where you would spend the whole week doing. I mean, the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday. You had 8-hour days you spent doing those classes, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And man, they were hard. And Georgina, I don't know. It's part of my personality. While I'm listening, I'm drawing or scribbling or something. She always accused me of not listening. But to sit in there for 8 hours and just go and take a break and come back and listen to somebody teach and take notes, and it was hard, really hard. And from what I understand, it wasn't as hard. Mine and Georgina's wasn't as hard as Fran's, so I felt sorry for him. But church history was, I thought church history was great when we did VLI. I thought learning everything from before Christ to Christ and the history throughout probably to the 1800s was a pretty awesome thing to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and VLI, now I think about it, back then that format was very intense. I mean, you and Georgina both were working too, and then you would do these things. It was 2 years of very involved effort put forth to make that happen. But I'm glad you
Yeah,
guys did it.
and doing the outreaches. We had to do at least 2 projects a semester, I think. So you had the
Right.
outreaches on top of that. So it was to do that, and it's pretty much a full-time school plus a full-time job plus outreaches plus working at church too.
Right. Yeah. I remember. I remember because that 2 years seemed to go real fast to me, but I wasn't doing the courses. You guys are done already? I feel like you just started.
Right. It was.
Yeah.
It was. You know, always when you look back on something, it's better than it was when you were going through it. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
but the learning process was intense for sure, but very worth it. I learned a lot going through it, and very. I appreciate all of it. You know, and being part of it, it changed my life for sure. And as you seeing leadership in me changed my life a lot too. If it wasn't for you coming to me and asking me that, I probably would have never volunteered to do it or prayed about doing it. But God uses different people to draw you into the kingdom and get you working and doing the things that you do and the things that you're good at. So appreciate that a lot, and it changed my life a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's fun to watch what God does in those situations and how he continues. Like we're talking about people going, how ministries you've been involved in, jail ministries and stuff up in West Palm, and you're talking about John and Shelley and how they're involved in ministry, and it's very cool to watch people come and get started here and really get a hold of things, and then go somewhere else and just really flourish, and that's always a pleasure to be a part of and watch. So that's very cool. Well, that's good. I think we got to hear more about Pastor Barry, and that was fun. Um, let's see. So, it's Father's Day this weekend. So don't forget, guys, come to church. I have little gifts for all the guys.
Oh,
So
we got gifts. Sweet.
I did get something for them. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. So gifts for the fathers. So bring your dads to church. Don't forget we are meeting in person as well as online, and it's getting, people are starting to come back, which is cool. But it's not it's not unsafe. There's plenty of room and lots of social distancing guidelines, and so that's good. And we're glad to have you come back when you can. And but like I keep telling, when we're ready whenever you are. Some people are it's just not comfortable yet, and that's okay. But for those of you that are coming back, it's been fun, and it's good to have people in the facility again, and it's feeling more and more like church, which is a good thing. We got a great worship set coming up this weekend. Doug, why don't you tell us real quick what the songs are?
Yeah, we're gonna start with Every Beat from I forget what the church is called, Horizon something or other, and then after that, Pastor Billy's gonna be doing The Father's House. That's a newer song from Bethel, and then Angie's doing New Wine from Hillsong. Renee's gonna do Tremble by Mosaic MSC, and then we're gonna end with the new song we introduced last week, Revivals in the Air. Kimmy's gonna do that, so that's a fun one to do.
Yeah, I like it.
Love that song.
Yeah, That's a really good song. Yeah, I get a kick out of that. So I'm glad we get to hear that again. I'm going to finish up our series we've done called Light. I'll be talking about the second part of Nehemiah this week, and we talked about being, the importance of being people of compassion last week, and purpose, and prayer, and humility. And so this week we're going to talk about being servants, being people of encouragement, conviction, and hope, and really encouragement. So important right now in a world that's discouraged. I would say extremely discouraged. That we have to be people that to be an encourager means you put courage into people. And so we need to be those people, not just sort of caught up in all the stuff that's going on around us and sort of being bearers of bad news, but come in as the bearers of good news and encourage people that God's got us and there's hope and that He's good and there's all kinds of good things going on. So we'll be talking about that this week. And don't forget, if you're watching this and you have children, we have a VBS this summer, but it's all online. A completely free virtual VBS.
June 29th. It's called Bolt.
You need to register your kids, but it's all free and you do it all online. So we found that and we thought that would be a great thing. We're going to miss doing a real VBS or, with the kids there. That's always a big part of the summer for us. And, we usually have a lot of kids, but not this year. But hopefully by next year we'll be back at that. And I'm just staring at my notes over here. If you were trying to watch on Facebook, it's another reason to have the Vineyard app because the stream was better on the Vineyard app. So
I
download
know
that into your phones.
I know what the problem was, but I can't fix it midstream. So there's in streaming world, there's this thing called bitrate, and mine is set too high right now. So that's what's causing it. But we'll have it fixed for next time for sure.
Yeah, and it's all going to be good in the people that watch a podcast. So on other places, because you can watch a podcast on our app, and you can watch it on Spotify, and you can watch it on iTunes. On both of those, it's the Keys Vineyard is how it's labeled. So you can check it out there, and I think on Spotify you can only listen to it.
Yeah, I would say Spotify and iTunes, you can listen to it. But you can watch it, on the app and all that good stuff.
And you can watch it on the iTunes, too. It does do video, podcast there. But
cool.
But Spotify's audio. And that's it, I think. We covered most of that stuff. So it's good. Well, Barry, man, I love you. And
thank you so much, Pastor Barry.
Thanks for having me on, man. Being here.
Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of the church after all these years and to keep coming back and visiting us. And let me just pray. Lord, thank you for this time and for your goodness to us and your love for us. And I pray, God, you would watch over folks and protect them and keep them safe. And God, let us just be a source of encouragement for the world around us, bringing your good news and the hope of who you are, that you've got us in the midst of all this. And we are grateful for who you are. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. You know what? We forgot our sponsors, Doug.
This podcast, the Hello Vineyard podcast, is sponsored by Keys Vineyard Community Church, your local home for a community church. And it is also sponsored by the Jesus Moment Bible Institute. You can log on for your associates, bachelors. It's all free. That's at onlinebibleinstitute.org. I had to sign up for like PBS or something. I don't know if I'd get hired, but that's I remember being a kid and watching the PBS shows. And this show was made possible in part by you and viewers like you. It's like, no, it wasn't.
Yeah. Who did? Oh, what came up with another sponsor last week? Who was it?
But you're putting me on the spot.
We had a third one. It was something else that we did. Vineyard Church Online. That was it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And also Vineyard Church Online. So for all your online church needs. That's us too. VineyardChurchOnline.com. Go there. Check it out. All right. Well, we'll say goodbye, Vineyard, and call it a show.
Cool.
Goodbye, Vineyard.
See everyone.